Welcome to the Dairy Good Dawgs, a place where we talk everything from the barn to the arch, and where conversations are all things dairy. The people, the science, and the stories behind the cows. Hi everyone, I'm Sophie Dupont, your host for today's episode, and today we are joined by Greg Kowalewski, the herd manager for Aurora-Oakwood Dairy. Welcome to the show, Greg.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So to start us off, I was wondering if you could kind of introduce your dairy background and give us an overview of Oakwood Dairy and kind of your role there.
Yeah, so we are located in central New York. I work on one of two of our dairies. At Aurora-Oakwood Dairy, we have 2,300 cows and 1,700 young stock all on site, raise all of our own feed, do all of our own crops. And then we have another dairy about 15 minutes away, Aurora Ridge Dairy, that milks about 2,700 cows. Same thing, all young stock on site. And they do all the cropping on their own. So combined, we have 5,000 milking cows under management and farm about 9,000 acres.
That, oh my God, the sheer amount of animals. Now, was it always kind of this joint venture between the two dairies? How did that come about?
So the joint venture started probably 20 years ago when the owners of Oakwood Dairy decided to partner with the owners of Aurora Ridge Dairy to manage Oakwood, with the long-term plan being that Aurora Ridge will buy out the partners at Oakwood. And they started the buyout process in 2017, where they bought the animals, and then they bought the equipment and took over full management in 2021, and then in 24 they purchased the buildings and the land, so now it is completely owned by the Aurora Ridge partners.
I can't imagine having all of that kind of up in the air at once, and as the herd manager, I mean, you must just have about 8,000 things to do. For your managerial role, I know that different people, have different management styles for their operations. And I was kind of wondering, what's your personal philosophy when it comes to herd management? Are there practices that feel tried and true to who you are or to your story that you've kind of followed time memoriam?
Yeah, I like to lead people. I like to train people. I like to work with people. It's not easy every day because there's always something new going on, something new that might be wrong. But I like to encourage, everyone that I work under me to do the best that they can. I try to talk to all of my employees at least once a day, see how things are going, because what I've found in my years of doing this is if you don't talk to anyone, they don't tell you about problems, and then they turn into problems during the middle of the night when you could have solved them during the day. So I like to catch my day crew, my night crew at shift changes and go over anything they saw with cows, with the facilities, with the milking system that we need to address.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's fantastic. People always talk about management philosophy or their management style, I think, when it comes to production and the cows. But you're right, people are so central to an operation. I've only worked on the UGA teaching dairy and a couple others, but it's so nice to feel like that your manager is there with you and checking in and really present.
Yeah. I mean, the cows are the ones that pay the bills and allow all of us to live the lives we live, but you need the people that are going to take good care of the cows, and you got to take care of the people, and the rest will come.
Yeah, absolutely. So all of us here at UGA, had the pleasure of listening to you talk at the Georgia Dairy Conference, which was fantastic. And you mentioned that you all have implemented the Nedap SmartSight camera technology, and I've been dying to talk to you about it because I'm wondering what made you initially want to invest in this kind of realm of technology, given everything that's out there.
So we have always prided ourselves to be on the forefront of using technology. So when our first piece was early 2000s, way before I started working for the farm. We had the automated milking meters with the AFI, where we put an AFI parlor in, AFI sort gates, with transponders on all of our cows. And then in the 2015, 2016, we were the first trial herd to do, or one of the first trial herds to do rumination technology. So we partnered with SCR, and we validated that rumination technology works. So then when Nedap approached us in January of 25, actually November of 24, about their lameness camera, where it's just two devices that get placed over where a cow walks every day, and it could tell us whether or not she's lame, we decided to jump on it and try to be the forefront of this new revolutionary technology.
Yeah. I think that attitude towards technology of really wanting to integrate and being so open to what's out there is fantastic. And I mean, just in my small perspective from talking to people and, seeing different operations, I think that's, it's going to carry everybody into the future. Now thinking about, with the lameness cameras, it's made me wonder, has things looked different for your hoof health protocol before versus after installation? I mean, has your trimming strategy changed, or how you work with your trimmer changed? I'm wondering how it all kind of pieces together.
Yeah, so the one thing we did notice is when we put the camera in, we are not trimming less cows than we did before. Okay. We say that we're trimming the right cows, so we're only messing with the animals that need to be seen by the trimmer, and we're allowing the other cows to just be cows and be out in the group and do what they want to do throughout the day. So we changed our protocols from a standard list of trimming every animal at 100 days in milk and then a pre-dry trim to eliminating that 100 days in milk trim and only trimming the cows that need it based on the locomotion scores that Nedap provides. And then we still continue to do the pre-dry trim. So we're just focusing on the cows that need it rather than a set standard list based on her days in milk.
Okay. Well, that makes me wonder then, do you feel like the cameras have been, obviously they're automated with that locomotion scoring, but do you feel like they're just kind of time saving and saving you from, trimming the whole herd at those, set points? Or do you actually feel like they're more effective and accurate than your employees at spotting lame cows in the first place?
So I would say that if you have a good vigilant employee for a herd our size, about 2,000 cows, or employees I should say, if everyone's focused on lameness, you will do as good of a job as the camera does. But where it really shines is replacing that. So we no longer have to be constantly looking for these cows because we know that the camera is watching that cow walk 3 times a day and it will catch her before we do. And then in New York State, labor costs just keep increasing and increasing. So if we had, we equated it to if we had to hire a full-time person to just watch lame cows as much as the camera does, it would cost us 3 to 4 times more per year than the camera service.
Wow. That's crazy. I think more and more, just where we are as an industry and economy-wise, and it's always been, finances are always a major consideration in adding technology or really adding anything, I guess, to an operation. And, we were just talking about sustainability a couple weeks ago and balancing, the economic challenges versus what you really want to do for your operation. And I was wondering, that's a really good point you make. How has the implementation been ROI wise?
It's been really good. So we've noticed less cows ending up severely lame. We have a designated pack for special needs animals, and it seems to be that we have less animals on that pack because the
Okay.
camera is consistently finding those cows quicker. So we'll find a cow at the start of a sole ulcer or a white line, and we'll get her to the trimmer before it turns into something major, where next thing you know, she can't walk, and the recovery is twice as long. We had the team at Nedap put some numbers together for us, and we noticed that their cows that the camera find versus cows that we used to find, there's a lot quicker recovery of milk production on those animals.
Interesting. Oh, yeah, that's something I guess I wouldn't have thought of, and I guess that makes sense with, any technology getting data versus having data that's useful and you can actually turn it into something. Um, which leads me to my next thought, with putting that data together, how do you turn what SmartSight outputs into management decisions greater than just, okay, she needs a trim?
Yeah, so SmartSight, they have created a list of potential cull cows. So if you have cows that are consistently low in locomotion score, and have seen the trimmer multiple times, they'll throw her onto a list and say, hey, maybe this cow isn't benefiting your herd like you think she is. She should probably go down the road.
Okay. And does that weigh it, because I know, as a Nedap product, does it integrate in with Nedap and some more of their software? Does that weigh it against her milk production or anything else, or just make a recommendation based on her locomotion?
So it makes a recommendation based on her locomotion, and then what Nedap does also integrate with, we use Bovasync for our herd software.
Okay.
And we don't look at Nedap, so Nedap imports the data into Bovasync, and then on our weekly trim list that we make, those cows that Nedap flags already shows up on that list. So it didn't add an extra step, which was really nice, because we already have an AFI parlor, SCR ear tags and collars, and we didn't want another system to have to babysit and monitor. So it was really nice that they could just integrate it right into our current trim list. So when I make the list for the trimmer, I don't have to look at Nedap at all. All those cows just show right up on the list.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think that with all the different, companies out there and systems out there, it's nice to know that it will integrate, so easily and not cause you another, okay, we've got to figure out this other thing hassle. I guess overall, just with your experience, were there any surprises, or positive or negative, after adoption that you all kind of ran into?
Yeah, I guess it's a simple surprise, but it was a big surprise. It worked. The camera, the camera worked. Usually new technology comes out, especially something like this that has never been tried or tried yet, and it's like, well, let's see what it does. Is it really going to do what they claim it is? And it really does. It's astounding at how well it identifies cows with issues. I mean, there's some cows that the camera just doesn't like it. For whatever reason, she has a low locomotion score, and you'll watch the cow walk and be like, man, I wonder what it saw with her. But
Interesting. Doesn't like as in they just won't pick her up for some reason?
so it'll pick her up, and it'll say it'll flag her as a lame cow or that she has a poor locomotion score. So it does not miss cows. If anything, it'll overanalyze cows. So if you have a cow that doesn't walk a normal gait, say she's posty or a shoulder, some other issue with her besides a foot or leg, it's just how she walks. The camera will flag her as having a low locomotion.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess we got a couple of those girls out at the UGA Dairy where it's like, I don't I don't really know how you're getting around, why you walk like that, but if you're good, we're good.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was wondering, this wasn't a super tried and true technology when you adopted it. And, I think it's nice to hear, for producers to hear from peers about, oh, this worked, this didn't work, and then maybe how could I tailor it to my operation. But do you have any advice, for people who want to be bold and there's not a ton of data to support it, but you're like, you know what, I'm going to do it and hope it works, versus waiting?
Yeah, I mean, so one thing is do the research. So we had a relationship with the Steve Pavelski, who's the technical support at Nedap. We've had a
Right.
relationship with him for years, and he came into our farm and wanted to do a trial. And we like to do trials at our farm because if there's a benefit that we could gain for using the technology for free for a period of time, that's awesome. So we're not opposed to doing trials, and that's trials with anything really.
Right.
If there's a need for the dairy to implement something, and we can do a trial version that doesn't cost us anything, then certainly we'll look into it. And that's how we got to partner with Nedap for this. It started as a trial. They wanted to validate that the camera actually worked, and it worked out really well for us and Nedap.
Yeah. I guess being open to those opportunities, and it's nice that it doesn't cost you anything up front, but just being willing to say yes and kind of be the guinea pigs a little bit. Overall, looking back, I'm so thrilled that it's worked out so well in such like a mutually beneficial way, but is there anything you would do differently in adoption or implementation of it?
No, I don't think it would be anything we'd do differently. The Nedap team was really good to work with. It was installed seamlessly and data was getting collected right away. We're excited for some new features that they're validating with the camera system. So body condition scoring is something that they are working on, and it wouldn't be anything else added to our current setup to start body condition scoring cows, which is exciting. So we could still use the same hardware, the same cameras, not adding anything else, and have another data point collected every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would be fantastic, and it sounds like, they're really innovative over there. So once you've kind of done the base installment, if they keep coming up with, data points to collect on these cows, that's fantastic. I always ask people about this, and this is kind of a speculative question, but, more broadly, just from your perspective, where you sit, where do you think camera-based or AI-driven technologies are fitting into the future of dairy? Where do you think maybe they're going? Or will, because I know we have so many companies right now who are trying to develop, AI-based technologies. Do you think they're going to rise and then crash? Just where do you think they're going?
I believe that over time, these cameras will eventually and hopefully start to replace wearables. So rumination and, pedometers, rumination, heat tags, those are all great, but you still need to have SOPs in place and manage that side of it of, well, this tag died, we got to go find her, put a new tag in her, or she lost this, this tag is lost, or this tag got put on the wrong cow. If you could just have cameras, learn the cows, know the cows, and figure out metabolic issues with the cows on cameras instead of having all that time putting wearables on, that would be amazing.
Oh, yeah, that would be fantastic. That's a fingers crossed for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, that's my hope, at least. I don't know how close technology companies are to making it happen, but I'd love to get away from wearables. Wearables provide valuable data. It's just there's a whole side of management a lot of people don't realize that comes with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I really appreciate your perspective, and just going back to you all and Aurora-Oakwood and everything, and Aurora Ridge. I'm just wondering, is there any technology that y'all are looking into now that you hope to implement soon, or is there any specific direction you all are going, in the near future that you're excited about?
No, there's nothing that we're looking at now currently. There's things I'm excited about. So from a parlor standpoint, we have a parallel parlor, and
Okay.
there's I forget the company that is making, it's like a robot, but for parallel parlors. So you attach the
Ooh.
unit and everything's done on the unit. So the teat prep and everything is done right there. So we have 3 guys in our parlor right now. We could maybe cut that down to 1 with this
Yeah.
technology. So that's something that we have to look forward to, or maybe we'll explore doing a trial in the future. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, please let me know if y'all do, and I'm gonna bring you back around so everybody can hear about it.
Sounds good.
Well, I just thank you so much for joining me today. I just really appreciate your perspective, and I hope to talk to you again in the future.
Yes, I appreciate you having me on, and thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, that was Greg Kowalewski, herd manager at Aurora-Oakwood Dairy, sharing his experiences with the Nedap SmartSight cameras, his herd management strategies, and how data-driven technologies are shaping the future of dairy production. Conversations like this remind us that innovation in the dairy industry isn't just about adopting new tools, it's about using them in informed ways that improve animal care, support better decision making, and ultimately strengthen the people and operations behind our milk. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who is interested in technology's role in modern dairy farming. Thank you so much for joining us, and tune in next time for more from the Dairy Good Dawgs, because every great glass of milk starts with great people.